Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome to the 1,000 subscriber special. Thank you everybody who subscribed to my channel over the past month or year, I guess. And I hope I can continue making content that you'll enjoy. And for the 1,000 subscribers special, I thought I would do something interesting. Now, for those of you who don't recognize this is Flood City 1 after the last episode of that series, Endgame. And for this 1,000 subscriber special, blah, blah, blah. For this 1,000 subscriber special, I thought I would try and bring Flood City 1 back to life. I'm not sure whether this is going to be a one-parter or a two-parter. I guess we'll see how it goes, but time to get to work. Alright, so we've got massive portions of the city that are basically completely abandoned. I think our first thing is going to be getting power back to the areas that don't have power. Otherwise, they're going to go abandoned pretty quickly. In fact, much of this area is already abandoned. So, because the main power plant for the city was the dams that ended up getting deleted when I flooded it out, and these two nuclear power plants that are completely underwater. So I believe what I'm going to do is make some power plants up towards this industrial area. We will make 3 oil ones, and hopefully, let's see if that does the trick. Yes, we are in the green again, but we do still have sewage drainage issues. Let's see if that clears up once everything gets power again. Yes, it seems to have. Yes, things seem to be clearing up. So we've got the basic necessities back online. Now, this is a massive area that's been just completely flooded with water. First, what I think I'm going to do is delete. And I'm sorry if you can hear all the fans in the background. It's really hot today. Like, absurdly hot. I need to take my radio out of my car so I can bring it in to get fixed, but it's probably, my car is dark red, so it's probably a bazillion degrees inside of it. So I'm putting that off until the evening. But first I'm going to get rid of this dam, so hopefully some of this water will drain into this flood bowl of sorts, and that'll clear up. Boy, this is just a massive portion of the city that's been completely drowned. So I guess our main goal is going to be trying to drain this area of this massive amount of water. Now, we've got some of it draining into this bowl, but I suppose I need to make some kind of channel so it can start draining into a river. And I think the best thing to do would be to cut through here and then drain it into this river right here. I wonder which way this river is flowing. I guess it's not really flowing anywhere. Okay. I suppose before I do anything, I need to stop this from pouring into that area. So we are going to put a dam up here if it lets me. There we go. So that'll slow the drain, and I suppose it's still, some water's going to start going down that way, but we can make a river or something that will go so that water won't just flood into everywhere. Gripping commentary, I know. Man, this is a bit overwhelming. What am I going to do? That's a lot of water. That is a lot of water. So now I've paused it. I've had to demolish some of these roads. Man, look at these poor trucks under like hundreds of feet of water. Then we will, and thank you whoever told me that you can actually expand this terrain management tool. And we'll make a channel. A channel that will go through here. And then, oh geez, I guess I'm going to have to make, it's a bit shallow there. I'll have to make some dikes on either end. And it'll go under this highway. And then drain into this river, hopefully. But first of all, I'll have to make the walls of this area a bit higher. Otherwise, it's just going to flood this plain down here. So I don't know how many of you actually remember Flood City or or have watched it, but this was the one that started it all, the city that started the whole Flood City idea. I didn't make this map. This was a map that I found on the Steam Workshop that sort of inspired me to make my own because it didn't really do what I wanted it to do. Let's smooth that out so it doesn't look silly. And that should do nicely. Then I'll have to rebuild the bridges after. Okay, so we've rebuilt the bridges. The channel is complete. I guess we'll just hit play and see what happens. Now that water can start flowing down there and then into that river. I think what I may do as well is make a canal that can go through too. Not a super deep one, but something like this. Start it here. And then make it flow through the bottom of this channel. But yeah, this was the start of the Flood City idea. Oh, I can't make it go that way. I guess what I could do is... I'm not really sure. Okay, so I managed to get the channel going all the way through. And now all this water can start draining into that river, which hopefully won't flood down here, but we'll see. Now, what else? We have large portions of the city that are abandoned. It seems like some of these places are... I'm not sure if the water is starting to go down at all. This bowl has completely filled up. I wonder what kind of current is going through here. We've got a strong current going down that way. Still have a little bit coming out of this dam. Now, is it going to start flooding on this river? Doesn't look like it yet. Well, at least this isn't quite flooding as much, just pouring tons of uncontrollable water into the system. I think what I might do is add in a canal that can go through down here. I have an idea. Now, I think that before I ended the world in this city, it had a population of about 150,000, and since that it has gone down to 85,000. So that is a significant portion of the population that's kind of dead. Now we've got pretty large portions of the city that are abandoned up here. Over here it seems alright. We've got a few sick people, but not a gigantic emergency as of yet. I guess I should check all the health. Health is pretty bad in there. What's the budget like? Medical is still pretty high. I guess we can just plop down a hospital somewhere in here. There we go. Land value. Let's check out land value. Pretty good in some areas. Yeah, if I can get this area unflooded, I think we might bring the city back to life. And water has gone down. All the water that was flowing through here has gone away. Not quite sure if water levels are actually going down in here yet. I'm hoping that eventually enough of the water will be diverted down to this river. And then I can start fixing this area. So I guess what I really need to do is make a dam here so this water stops going down south in the city. So we'll bring our terraforming tool up and just make a nice little dike kind of thing going across here. And then once all the water sort of drains out of this area, then I can get rid of it and this water can start flowing down, hopefully into this channel and then out of this valley. So I have to want to smooth this out so it looks nice. Elsewhere in the city, we have power, we have sewage, and things seem to be starting to come back to life. Our kind of downtown Dale Park, we did have some fires, but those seem to have been brought under control. We do have a lot of abandoned buildings up here because this was one of the areas that lost a lot of power. So I'm going to start cleaning it up. So some pretty significant portions of the city have now been razed to the ground. And now they can build a new life springing from the destruction and the death of architecture. This doesn't really seem to be draining at all. But I guess it's a lot of water. It's going to take time. It is draining into this river. Water is flowing this way, which is the way I want it to be flowing. So hopefully eventually this water... Oh, and this dam has actually stopped the water altogether, and that's good. That's sort of what I wanted. So, and this is not rising too much. So things are looking... Well, I guess I can't say they're looking good because half my city's underwater, but they're looking like they're going somewhere other than absolutely horrible. And then there's the fact that all this water is probably contaminated by nuclear radiation from these 2 nuclear power plants, spawning new species of deformed fish and crabs that will rise from the waves and destroy the city under their clawy destruction, giant claws. Snap, snap, snap. Yeah. Okay, so it does seem like things are draining down here. These industrial areas that have been completely wiped out are starting to be uncovered from beneath the waves of destruction. Now I just have to demolish it all so I can rebuild. I suppose there's not much point doing that yet because it's still all underwater. But up here, well, there's no access, so... And all these trucks, which are presumably rather grim scenes of drowned semi-truck drivers. Yeah, when you really think about it, it's rather depressing. All these hundreds of... Yeah, let's not think about it. Now, I have noticed that water is starting to rise on this flood wall, because now all the water that was going down there is now being channeled down into the main river. So I'm worried about this area being flooded again, but from this side. Now there is the old... This is an ancient dike system with 2 levels of defense. We have the first line of defense, which is this flood wall, and then the second line of defense, which is this smaller dike that goes up along here. So I'm hoping that those 2 lines of defense will be sufficient to hold it, but I need to upgrade that. Let's fix this. I'm going to pause it quickly though, because we can raise this up a bit so it's above the water, except I'm going to have to get rid of this power line. And then we can build a flood wall up on top of it. Might have to make it a bit higher so it's actually above the water. Okay, hopefully I can... No, I can't yet. I'll have to press play so it sort of... the water drains from that thing. That's not looking very good. Suppose I also need to redirect this power line to go around instead of through the water. Now, if you want to watch this series from the beginning, you can go into my playlist, and it's under Flood City number 1. And you can watch this whole series if you want to get caught up, because you have no idea what's happening. I remember when I made the first episode for this, I thought it would be something that absolutely nobody would be interested in, but then it ended up being a video that got quite a bit of views, and we've got a lot of power outage down here we got to deal with. But it turned out to be my most popular series to date. So I kept going, and it evolved into what is now Flood City 2, which we have just recovered from the worst flood we've ever seen in that city. Hoping that this amount of wind turbines will be sufficient to power this area up again, because I don't want this whole area going abandoned again. And not quite. Oh, actually, looks like a pretty good portion of it has power now, but we're still in the red, so we're going to have to add... Let's add a nuclear plant right here. Pretty safe from flooding there. There we go, we have power. Or at least we should be having power. Yes, we do. Okay. Although what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make another power line that goes across and connects with this one. I also should reconnect this bicycle path that I got rid of during a epidemic and forgot to rebuild it. I mean, the rest of the city seems to be doing all right. All the bridges are going nicely. The water is rising in this main river a bit. Actually, no, it seems to be going not quite as high as it was on these walls as it was before. Has flooded into here, though, but that's pretty normal. I should fix this diversion that I blocked up when I wanted it to flood. So that should start draining some of the water out of that river and diverting it down into this poop-filled sludge fest of disgusting sewage water. Oh, and this I don't think I'll fix this. This will forever be the Flood City 1 ghost town. This may be wishful thinking, but I do think that the water has started to go down here. This is a bit of a graphical glitch here, though, because I imagine these houses were once underwater, and they aren't any longer, so it is starting to go down in this area. It's definitely starting to go down here, because you can see a significant difference in water levels between these two. I did make a space here, so this can start draining into that river. Well, one problem that... Oh, no. This is just... I thought this was sick people, not... But it's just a low land value. And that's understandable. I would imagine that land in a previously completely underwater area would be of particular high value. But the water level does seem to have equalized between the two sides of the dam. I think I'll keep it there for now. And it will go down eventually, I suppose, as long as it keeps flowing into this river rather than this river flowing down that way. It is only a small channel, though, compared to the amounts of water that needs to be drained. And we do also have water diverting through this way now as well. So that should keep flooding here to a minimum. It has gone up a bit again, but not too much. So I think now I'll get rid of some more of this flood wall right here so water can start draining more freely between these two sections, because the water flow is now favoring going towards that channel rather than into the city. And if I can encourage that flow by getting rid of this, that would be perfect. Now I'm currently dredging this big bowl, so as much water can collect in it as possible and drain away from the populated areas. So hopefully that's going to create a gigantic mess. That looks interesting. Huh. But hopefully after it does all that crazy stuff, more water will drain into that area from here. I suppose I could also flatten out this dike that goes around it, making it easier for that water to flow into the gigantic bowl. I also decided to make this bowl bigger so it could fit much more volume, and that seems to be starting to make a pretty big difference. Water is really starting to go down now and should be flowing away from this area quite strongly, which is exactly what I want. When this area does finally drain out and I demolish all these abandoned buildings, it sure is going to take a long time for this area to rebuild, though. It is starting to, though. I mean, you can see some new constructions right there, and this is a new house. So it is already starting to slowly rebuild. I like how it's all turned to sand now. It's just a gigantic desert. It'll eventually turn back to green, but it's getting there. The end game has risen. Now this video is probably just going to be a one-off. I'm not going to keep going with this flood city. I just figured for old time's sake and for a little bit of a special episode, I would try and bring this city at least somewhat back to life, and it seems to be doing so. This area is clearing up nicely. The rest of the city has power and is relatively unscathed. Transportation's a little bit of a mess. Trains have finally started moving again now that they can move freely through here because it's not flooded. This highway is a bit of a mess because I've demolished parts of it to accommodate dikes and stuff, but there are other routes into the area. Well, we have cleared out most of this area. The airport is finally not flooded out, although it is disconnected from anything, so I'm just going to reconnect it via road right here. Nuclear power plants. Well, one of them is functioning again, I think. Oh no, it has multiple problems. Crime and garbage. I guess there isn't very much garbage disposal out here. Well, we can fix that like this. And this. Then I suppose we can reconnect this highway so traffic can come down from the north again. Although the exit, I'm not going to be able to repair for a little while still. But at least that's up and running again, and the airport is, well, it's still flooded out that way, so I guess I'll have to make another road that connects like that. Alright, so the airport, a plane has landed at the airport for the first time since, well, it's about to get flooded again. Go plane, you can do it, get out of there. It made it. It made it. Alright, so we've managed to drain the water significantly. We've drained all the water from up in the north, the industrial areas in the north, and a good portion of this area has, it's going to take a while for this to drain, so I think I'm going to call it a day. That was the 1,000 subscriber Flood City 1 special, bringing it back to, at least sort of back to life. Again, thank you for 1,000 subscribers. Did I say 100 before or 1,000? I'm getting mixed up. And I hope I can continue making videos that you guys will enjoy. More Flood City 2 videos and whatever else I feel like playing at the time. So until next time, see ya. What the heck? I just woke up from a crazy dream that I was doing commentary for another Flood City. Oh well. Back to sleep. And I'm not even going to even think about what the hell's going on here. I really hope that's better next time I wake up.